Hi there, welcome back to Complete Full Stack NFT Marketplace project. In the last video, we have built a smart contract for our NFT marketplace. In this video, we're going to build the complete front end for our NFT marketplace. So in the last video, when we built the smart contract, in that we have covered that how you can write the clean code for your smart contract, how to use OpenZipline, how to use other tools like Hardhat, how to do the testing. So all those things related to smart contract I have covered in the very first part of that smart contract development tutorial. So I'll link that video in the I button or in the description so you can watch. And from right now, we're going to build the front-end applications for our NFT marketplace. So this template designing for our NFT marketplace is going to be the biggest and longest series because altogether we have to build 16 pages. So what I have done, I have divided this entire template design for our NFT marketplace and I have break it down into a small component so you guys can have a better understanding that what we exactly building at a time. So first we will build the navigation bar, then footer, then hero section, then slider. And then we're going to do a little bit testing with demo data and rendering component. So this is how I'm going to plan throughout this entire template designing for the NFT marketplace. So hope you will enjoy and you will have a lot of fun. I'll try to explain as brief as I can from my end so you guys can get the benefit. So if you are new to my channel, hit like and subscribe. That will motivate me a lot to come up with this video. So make sure you save the playlist and hit that notification bell so whenever I upload the video you will get notification. So this is how I have break down the entire course for this NFT marketplace template design. Okay, and all the source code, all the demo codes are already provided to you on my website. Simply visit daulathusain.com, go to the blog session, and this is the first article. In this you will find all the resources about the templates, about the smart contract, and about the backend. Okay, so this is the second part of this project. In this we are building the NFT marketplace front end application. So once we're done with the front end, we're going to build the backend for our project. With that said, I hope you will enjoy and we can start working on our NFT marketplace. So let's get started. So what I have done so far for designing this front end, I have created a folder by the name NFT marketplace video, and in this we're going to keep all the files for our NFT marketplace template. Okay, so here I have already opened the Visual Code Studio. You can pick any code editor, but I would recommend you to use Visual Code Studio because that will give you a better idea that what I'm doing and you will be on the same path. Okay, so here I'm in my directory, and first thing you have to do is to simply open up your terminal, and we're going to initialize a couple of things. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is to clear the terminal and type npx create next app same directory. So in this project we're going to use the technologies like React.js, Next.js, Node.js, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for designing this entire front end, and I'm using Next.js project. Okay, so here I'm initializing the Next.js. Just wait, let the installation get completed. So we have successfully initialized Next.js. Simply clear your terminal, and on the right hand side you will find a couple of folders and files which is created by Next.js. So here in this package.json file you will find all the details about the packages, about the tools we're going to use in this complete NFT marketplace template design. So here you will find so the name of the folders, the versions, the private, and we have a couple of scripts which allow us to run. And here we have the dependencies. So currently we are using 3 dependencies. The one is Next, React, and React demo, which is created by the Next.js, and here we have the dev dependency. Okay, but what I want to do, I don't want to use this ESLint, okay, because I don't want to configure. So I'm going to remove simply these packages which I don't want to use in this project. So simply open up your terminal, and we need to just install these packages. So type npm install ESLint, paste, and hit enter. This will install the package. Do the same thing from this, copy, and simply install this as well. So we can start with a clean environment. So now looking good. Let's bring this down. Here we have that. Close this one, and we have to delete this file as well, eslint.json file, because we no longer using eslint. Delete this one. And here we have the readme file. Here we have the git file. So if you haven't installed git in your computer, then definitely you won't have this file. but I have Git installed in my computer, so I'm getting this. So if you're not getting this, don't worry about it because we're not going to use it. Okay, so in this you will find all the folders which you don't need to worry about it. Then we have this node modules. So all the npm packages we will use in this project, that's all going to be stored inside this node module folder, which you don't need to worry about it. Okay, simply close this. Here we have the page folder. Inside that we have 3 files. The first one we have this API folder, then we have app.js, then we have index.js. So simply delete this API folder, delete this one, open this app.js, and here we have to do couple of changes. Okay, so instead of using normal function, we're going to convert this into an arrow function. So let's do that. Okay, simply remove this const, give this equal sign, and we have to convert this into an arrow function. And I want to return instantly. Okay, so that's why I will do in this way. Simply cut this one, and we have to remove this, and we have to remove this return keyword as well. Okay, so in arrow function, this is how you can return instantly. Okay, so we have our app.js file. Close this one. Let's come back to the index. So this is the demo code we have in our index.js. So we're going to simply remove it, and we're going to write from the clean environments. Type RAFC. This will create the React's functional base component, and the reason I can able to create this by writing this short form because I have installed React snippet. Okay, so make sure you install that extension, and I believe that you guys already have in your computer. Okay, so let's work on this. Let's change this to home. Okay, this is our index page, the main page which initialize our project and app. Okay, so let's close this one. In the public folder we have this icons, and we have this files. Okay, which you don't need to worry. Close this one. Let's come back here in the style folder, and here you will find 2 CSS files. The first one is home modules, and the second one is the global CSS file. So simply remove this home module because we're not going to include this. And here we have this global CSS file. So if you want to style any, so if you want to apply any global styling in your applications, you can do it from here. And we're going to use this file for applying global stylings like colors, fonts, and we're going to remove some padding, borders. So that's all we're going to do. You will find that how we are applying it. So here you will find all the codes. Okay, so simply close this one, and so this is the getignore folder, and here you will find all the files and folder which you don't want to push to GitHub. Okay, so it's automatically get generated. So when you will push this code, it will go to GitHub, but these files will not included in that. So what I will do, after every lessons, after every component design, I'm going to push this like code to GitHub so you guys can get and compare from there. Okay, but I want to give you a quick disclaimer that don't simply copy paste, because I will try to explain everything, the logic behind that, why I'm using the code the way I have written. Okay, so after every session I will deploy this code to the GitHub so you guys can get, and I have already explained that how you can get the code. Simply visit to the articles in my website, and from there you will have the sections, and from there you can able to download the code. Okay, so this is the getignore file. So here you will find the dependency. We have the testings, Next.js, build modules, mins, and debug script, and all this we have. Simply close this one, and here we have this package.json, which you don't need to worry. Okay, here we have the package.json file, and here we have the readme file. So simply do one thing, simply select this all and remove, and let's type NFT marketplace note. Okay, so I'm going to keep all the notes for this project in this file so you guys can have a reference. Okay, or if I want to give any code as a note, so that's all I will provide here. So that's the readme file, and let's close this and save. Okay, so that's all we have. Let's open up your terminal, and we have to type npm run dev. We have to check our application, and this script I'm typing because we have this script in our npm package for the development environment. Okay, so if I click here, and here you can able to find that we have all these 4 script. We have dev, build, start, lint. Okay, so we are using the development mode, and that's coming from Next.js. Okay, let's bring this, save it. Okay, let's hit enter, and this will initialize our project on localhost 3000. So to open this, all you have to do is to simply press Control and mouse on this 3000 link, and this will open the application in your browser on localhost 3000. Okay, so let's come here. Here you can see it's loading, And finally we have initialize and open our application on localhost 3000, and you can see that it's written home, the index page we have here. Let's zoom out. Okay, it's working fine. Now let's come back and let's bring the terminal down. I'll keep my server running, so whatever changes, whatever code I will write, that will display here. Okay, so don't stop the server. So far everything is working fine. Now let's create the folder and file structure. In this project is going to be really huge and there are a lot of things are involved, so it's very important that we have to create the right folder and file structure for our NFT marketplace, because in this we are doing a lot of things. We are managing a lot of stakes, a lot of component, so it's always important to have a proper component structure. So if you want to do any changes in future, so it become very easy and it's become very navigatable for other developers to do the changes and work on this project. Okay, so folder and file structure is very important. If you work in an organization, definitely they will going to ask you that how you can organize the entire code, because building code is really not that hard, but organizing and working on a scalability level, it's very important. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to create a couple of folder and files. So we'll create the component folder. In this we're going to have all the component for our NFT marketplace, and in that we're going to create couple of files. Okay, couple of folder and couple of files. So the first I will call is index.js. In this I'm going to import the entire component, and from here we're going to export it. Okay, so that's the entire logic. So we have this index.js. Inside that we're going to create a folder and I call it NavBar. Okay, in that I'll create the files. So let's select that, come here, let's create the other folder. I'll call it footer. Inside the footer we'll create the footer.js, and in that we're going to create one more file, which is footer.module.css. So in Next.js, this is the extension you have to provide, footer modules.css. Then you can able to add the external CSS file. Okay, so this is my footer component, both with JSX and the CSS part. Now let's come to the navigation bar and click on this, and let's create the folder. So our navigation bar is going to be the biggest component, because there we have a lot of things. We have a sidebar, we have a discover menu, we have a help menu section, we have notification, we have a user profile, we have button. So there are a lot of components involved in our navigation bar, and although it's a mega menu navigation bar, so I'm going to structure that entire navigation bar into a small component. Okay, so let's create the folders for that. So I'll call it discover. So this is the first folder we have for the discover menus, and inside the discover we're going to create the file discover.jsx, and we're going to create the CSS file for this module.css. So this is the discover component. Now let's come back to the navbar and let's create other one more. So I'll take a folder and I'll call it help center, and let's create the files for that. So helpcenter.jsx, and we will create helpcenter.module.css. so this is the two component for our mega menu. Okay, so one menu for the discover, one menu for the help center. So let's close this one and let's come here, and here you can able to find we have this two part, which is the two component. Let's come back, and now let's click on this navbar and let's create one more folder. So this will call notification component, and inside that we're going to create the notification file .jsx and notification module.css for the CSS file. Okay, let's click on this. We have to create one more folder, and this will call profile, and it will say profile.jsx and profile module.css. So I believe that you guys can make the sense that how we are approaching this entire navigation. Okay, so let's close this one. Now let's click on this navigation bar and let's come here, create one more folder, and this call be our sidebar.jsx, and we have to create sidebar.module.css. so this is our sidebar component. So we have all these. Okay, simply close all these open file. So here we have the navigation structure. Let's close all this and let's open this discover section. This one working fine, navigation, profile, sidebar, and we have this index file. Okay, so let's come back, go to the footer, and let's create type rafce and simply import the CSS file for the footer. So let's call it internal import, and I'll call it import style from the same folder slash for the modules. Okay, let's close this one. So now let's do with the navigation bar. So let's come here and create one more file. So this time we are not creating folder, we are creating file in the same navigation folder. So I'll call it navbar.jsx. So in this folder we're going to import all the component. Okay, and we have to create the CSS file for this, navbar.module.css. okay, so in this navbar.jsx we're going to import all this component and we're going to build the entire navbar. Okay, so don't be scared because of this folder and file structure. It will make our work very easy and you will find that how it doing it. Okay, I'll try to keep these things separately so it's become very easy to navigate in the project. So this is our navbar.jss. So let's come here and type refce, and we have a navbar. Let's import the CSS file called internal, and this will call import. I'll call it style. That's coming from the same directory from dot. Let's bring it down, navbar module CSS. Okay, so this is, we have the CSS, and now that's what we have. Let's close this one, close this one. Now let's open this. So let's come here, and here we have the navbar. Let's come here and let's start working on our navigation bar. Okay, so before we work, let's come here in the discover folder and we have to type this refc. Otherwise we'll get the error when we'll import this component in our navbar. So let's close this one and do same thing for others. So refce, this is help center. Let's do for the notification refce. Now do for the profile refce, and we have to do for the sidebar refce. So let's close all this, close this, and close this one, close this one, close all these open folders. And inside the navbar we're going to create one more file. This time not going to be folder, it will file, and I'll call it index.jsx. so in this file we're going to import all the navbar component, and from there we're going to export it. Okay, so this is the file we have. Let's come here and let's import all the component. So I'll call it import discover from and dot slash discover component we have to take. Okay, so this is how we are importing the component in this index.js. Let's do the same for other. So let's close this one and let's call it help center, and that's coming from the same directory dot help center slash help center. Import, and it will call profile. That's coming from the same directory profile slash profile. Import notification, and that's coming from the same dot notification slash notification. But you have noticed one thing here, when we are importing the file we are getting two files, one with extension or without extension. So both the files are same. You can import whatever you want. If you want to give the extension you can give, otherwise you can simply give normal import. Okay, so that's the notification. Now we have to import the sidebar. So I'll call it sidebar, and that's coming from the same directories sidebar folder that sidebar. So these are the 5 components are involved in our navigation bar, and now we have to export them. So let's come down and we'll call it export, and in this bracket we're going to pass this all. Okay, so first one is going to be, let's say, discover. Second one is going to be help center. Third one is going to be profile, notification, and sidebar. So these are the 5 exports we are doing from this file. Okay, let's close this one. Let's come here, and now, so here we have that. Let's close this, come to navbar, and here we're going to import all this folder. Okay, and now we can start working on our navigation bar. Okay, so let's open up your browser, and we need to install React icons, and because that's what we are using in our project for getting icons. Okay, so let's come here, type React icons, come here, click on this, and this is the command we have to do. Okay, so we have to install React. So simply copy this, npm install React icons. This will give the complete library of React icons. Okay, so let's open up your terminal and simply stop the application from running, or you can simply open up a new terminal. Both the thing you can do. I'll go to open the new terminal and I will clear the terminal and I will simply paste this npm react icons. Okay, just wait. So we have installed React. Simply clear the terminal. Icons. Now let's come back to the package.json file. You can find the details about this package. So the version we are using 4.4.0. okay, so no matter what version you are using, you always get the supported version. Okay, so here we have the React icon. So let's close this one and now we can start working on our navbar.jsx. okay, so let's come here. We have to import couple of things from React. So it's use state and we have to take use effect. Now we have to do import the image from Next.js. Now we have to import the link from next link, and now import the icons. So let me give this command. Now we're going to import icons, and the first icon we want to import is MD notifications. And if you want to know from where I'm getting these name of this notification, you can simply visit the React icon, and if you search the name you will find that. Okay, so I'm getting from there. So it's coming from React icons and /md. So there are a lot of providers, icon provider. So we're going to use multiple providers to get the icons, because in this project I wasn't finding one provider which have all the icons. Okay, so we're going to use multiple provider, and once you install this React icons, you get all the providers in your node modules, and from there you can easily able to use it. Okay, so this is the notification icon. Now let's import one more. It will call BS search. So this is going to be the search icon, and this is coming from Bootstrap. Okay, BS. Let's import other icons. So let me call it CG menu left, and we have to take CG menu right, and that's coming from React icon.cg. Okay, so this is the icon import, and this is the React imports and Next.js import. Let's come down. Let's come down here in internal import. We have to import, let's say we have to import the components, okay, which is coming from index. Okay, so first one is going to be discovered from, and we have this inside this nav index. Okay, so if from this index file we are importing or exporting all the components, so from there we have to import. Okay, make sure you do that. In this we're going to import the help center, we're going to import the notification and the profile and the sidebar. So these are the component we have imported here in navbar.jsx. Okay, so we have the component. Now let's come down. Let's come here and click on this component, and we need to create one more component. Okay, and the component we're going to create in the component folder. So we're going to create the button component because we have button in our navigation bar, and I am creating button component as separate because we are using button in multiple places, and all the button have same styling but minor differences. So I'm taking as a component, reusable component, so we don't need to style over and over again. Okay, so we have this button, and inside that we're going to create this button.jsx, and we will have the CSS file as well, modules.css. We'll type that rafce, and here we have this. Now close this one, and let's come here, and in the component we have this file .index.js, but I don't want to create name conflict. So here in this we're going to import all the component itself. Okay, in the component file. So I'm going to change the name. So I'll call it, let's say I'll call it component index, so you guys can become very easy for you to understand that what are the things we are importing inside this component index.js. Okay, so here we're going to import couple of things. So first thing, we're going to import the button, and that's coming from the component, same directory, button. Now we have to import the, let's say, footer. We have in the same folder footer/footer, and here we are importing the navigation bar, so NavBar, and that's coming from there. So these are the import, component import, and now we have to export this as well. So we are not exporting right now. Let's come here, and here we have to import that. So we'll call it button, and that's coming from dot let's say dot slash component index. Okay, so here we have the button component, which is coming from component index. So that's the button. Let's close this one and let's come here, and here I have already provided this images to all of you guys. Okay, so once you get the starter file from the website where you will find this images. Okay, so here in this images you can see we have all the images which we are using in this project. We have the NFTs, we have the user, we have the social media icons, we have the background images. So all the images which you will find right in this folder. So make sure you can download from the articles which I have mentioned. Okay, so here you will notice one thing. Inside the images folder we have one more index.js file. So what approach I'm taking, you can import the images in the component individually. Okay, but here what approach I'm taking, I'm exporting all the images, I'm importing all the images in one file. This is called index.js, and from here I'm exporting. So it's become very easy to get the images without typing the code over and over again. Okay, so here you will find all the images we have import. So we have the collections and background images, we have the user images, and we have this logo, and here finally we are making default export. So we can easily able to access this images in any component. Okay, which you will find that how we are going to access this. Okay, so that's the index for the images. Let's close this one, let's close this as file, and here we're going to import the images. So import, I'll call it images, and that's coming from dot slash images. Okay, so in this way we can easily able to access all the images. So here we have the internal import, and now we can start working on our JSX part. Okay, but before that we have to, let me give this comment. Let's take use state. Okay, and we're going to take a couple of use state. So I'll take this, I'll call it discover component. Initially it would be false, and this will call help center. Initially it would be false. We have to take another one, it would be notification, false, and we have to take this use state snippet, and it will call profile. Initially it would be false. Okay, we have to take one more, and this will call, let's say, open sidebar, and this would be false. So here we are taking the state for each of this component because we have to open and close it. Okay, so that's why we are taking the states. So these are the 5 states for the components, and that's for there. Now let's call it use state component. Now let's come down, and now we can start writing on the JSX of our navigation bar. Okay, so simply remove this, and we're going to instantly return it. So I'll take a div, it will have a class, and I call it style dot NavBar. Okay, inside that we will have another div, it will have a class called NavBar dash box dash container. Sorry, so this is how I'm going to write the JSX. Okay, inside that we're going to have another div, it will call style NavBar dash container dash left. So our navigation is divided in 2 parts. One is the left section and the other one is the right section. Okay, so this is the pattern I'm going to follow for every single JSX, every single component. And the reason why I'm taking this approach, because if you want to convert this into a perk templates, so it's become very easy. If you want to convert this entire CSS in perk template, or if you want to use SAS, so SAS converter for converting this CSS file to the SAS, it's become very easy for you as well. So let's working on it. So inside we're going to replicate this, and we're going to change this to right, and inside the left container left we're going to start writing. Okay, so we'll have our div, it will take a class, and we'll say style dot logo, and that will have a image component src, and we have this image dot. So here we have imported the image, and in that we have all the images. So we have to provide the dot, and we have to give the name images. So here we have the logo. Okay, so in this way we can easily able to access any images, and we have to provide the alt. So well, let's call it NFT marketplace. That's the text, and we have to assign the width 100 and height is going to be 100. So this is the image. Now let's come down, we'll take another div. It will have a class, and then we'll call style dot navigation bar left box input. Okay, so here we will have the search input. So we'll have a div. Inside that we'll have another class style dot navigation left box input box. Okay, and I'm giving this huge name because you guys can understand that what component we are using and styling in our style sheet. Okay, you should always give descriptive name, that what exactly happening in the code. Okay, so in that way it's become very readable for other developers, and that's what you have to keep in mind when you are building your project. So these names looks like very big, why I'm giving this big name, but it will help you a lot when you will do the editing, okay, and review your code. So in that we have to take this input, and it will have a, let's say, type is going to be text. Let's give this bracket text, and we'll have a placeholder, say search, let's small, search NFT. Okay, we'll come down and we'll have our icon bs search, and it will have a on click property. So when someone type anything and we'll hit the enter, we'll have to display those NFT. Okay, so right now we will have this empty callback function, on click function. Okay, and it will have a class as well. So style dot search icon. Okay, here we have this div. Now let's come down, and we have to take the, let me give this comment, end of left section, and now we can start on working on the right section. Okay, and this right section is going to be a little bigger, okay, because a lot of components are there. All the components we have created, that's all we're going to display in the right section. So we'll take a div, it will have a class, and we'll call style dot NavBar container right and right discover. So each component will have its separate div. Okay, so this is the discover component, and that's what we are doing here. And that we have to simply, let's take a p, and it will have a on click functions, and it will call the e, and we'll give this empty call functions, and here we call discover. Okay, so when someone will click, our discover component will open. Okay, so we're going to create a function for this. Okay, just write the css, and now we have to take a div. It will have a style dot navbar discover dot slash box, and in that we're going to display the discover component. Okay, so this is the first component for our discover div, and here we have that. And let's come here and let's write the function for opening. Okay, so let's come here, const open menu, and we are receiving that e. Okay, so when we'll call this function, we'll able to have this e. In that e, I want to access the text, okay, button text, and I'll call e dot target dot, let's say, inner inner text. Okay, so when we'll call these functions, so when someone will click on that discover or a help center or a navigations, we can able to get that text, and once we have the text, we want to match it. Okay, so once we match it, and according to that, we're going to display the component. Okay, it will make sense, just follow along with me. So here we have this text. Okay, and that's what we're going to target. Okay, so let's come here, and we have to take a if statement, and if we say if button text is equal to discover. Okay, so make sure you give the same spelling which you have provided in the paragraph. Okay, so we are matching with that. If it's that, then we have to simply set discover to true. We have to open that component, and we have to set the other component to false. Okay, so we'll call it set help as help false, and we call set notification false, and set profile false, because at a time we want to display open one component, not multiple components. So that's why we have to set other component to false. So this is how we can able to open the discover component, and now we have to do the same thing for other components. So I'll go a little faster. Button text, and this time we'll call it help center, and we're going to simply copy this, and we're going to change the status. So this will become false. Here we are looking for this will come true, and the rest should be same. And let's come down, let's say else, and here we're going to say simply copy this and paste here, and this become false, so the rest would be false. Okay, let's copy this function, and now we have to call it here. So let's come down, and we're going to call the function here. Simply replace this, and we have to pass this e, so in that way we can easily able to access the e. So that's the how we can open the component. Okay, now let's come here, let's take a dynamic block. Okay, dynamic block. So if discover is false, then we don't want to hide it. Okay, simply cut this and paste here. So the discovery state is initially false, so this component would not display, but if it turns to true, then this component will display. Okay, so that's the entire logic we are doing here. So that's the discover component, and let's come up here and let's give this comment so you guys can understand that which component we are working on. So this is the discover menu. Now let's come down here and let's start working on other component. So I'll call it help center, style dot navbar right, and we'll call it, let's say, help center, help. It will have a paragraph, it will have on click functions. The same thing we have to do, pass the same function, help open menu, and that we have to pass the e, and we have to type the text help center. Okay, same thing we have to do here. That's what we have passed here. Now let's come down, we have to take this dynamic block help, and we have to render this component. So div, it will, let's have a class style dot navbar help dot box. Inside that we'll have this help center component. So this is our help center component. Let's come down, notification, comment out, we'll take a div, it will have a class, and style dot navbar right dash notify. Okay, and we have to take this icon, okay, because we are displaying the icon instead of the message. So we have this, it will have a, let's say, class, so I'll call it style dot notify. Okay, short name, and it will have a on click function, and that we have to call a different function. So it will have an arrow function, and now we have to call it open notification. Okay, we're going to create a separate function for this. So let's come up here and let's create the function. So we'll take a const and we'll call the same name, open notification, and in this we have to simply, like, say, if notification component is false, then we have to set to, let's say, set to notification to true, and we have to set other component to false. Okay, so set discover, set help center false, we have this set profile false, and we have this all the component, else we have to set this notification to false. Okay, that's the open notification. Everything is working fine. So let's come down, and now we have to render this notification component. Okay, so notification, and we have to give the name of the component slash component. Okay, so we have this component, and that's coming from here. Let's come down, we will take a create button sections, and we'll take this div, it will have a class called style dot navbar right dash button, and in that we're going to render the button component. So it will have a dynamic, so this button is dynamic, so in this we have to set couple of props, because all the buttons will have a different text and different callback function. Okay, so that's the props we have to send in every button component. So we'll call it btn text, and the name of this button would be, let's say, create. Okay, so this is how we are sending the props. So this is the button component we have, and let's come down and we have to create the user profile, comment this out, and now let's come here, copy, we'll take a div, it will have a class, and style navigation right dash profile, okay, box. So we are following this pattern. Box will have another div, it will have a class, style, navigation right, profile, and in that we're going to render the image. So it will have a src, we have the images inside this dot user, we're going to take the one, and we have to assign the alt tag. It will say profile, width is going to be 40 pixels and height is going to be 40 pixels. So this is the perfect width and height I have found while I was testing it. Okay, so don't think that I'm coming with this number magically. Okay, I have already tested this according to the components, and that's what I'm typing here. Okay, and it will have a on click functions because we want to open the component, and we have to create this function as well. So I will call it open, let's say profile. Okay, so this is the function we have to create. Gonna open the profile, and we have to assign the class as well to the images. So simply copy and paste that. Okay, so that's the div. And once now we have to render the component. So if profile, then we have to render the profile component. And later when we connect with the backend, we're going to send props inside this component, so we can easily able to access. So we can easily able to remove this dynamic static data with a dynamic data. Okay, right now we are not sending any props, but when we connect with the backend, we're going to change that. Okay, so that's our profile component. Now let's come down, and here we're going to take this menu button. Okay, and this menu button will only display on a mobile device, not on desktop. Okay, so that's why we are keeping this out from this. Let's take a div. It will have a class called style dot, let's say, navigation container right menu button, and it will have this cg menu right, and in that we'll have a class called style dot menu icon. It will have an all click functions, and it will have a function called open sidebar. Call this function. So this is the function we're going to create, and this function will open the sidebar. Okay, so that's the div for the menu. So everything's looking good so far for this NavBar, and let's come down here, and here we're going to render the sidebar component. Okay, and this sidebar only would be displayable in the mobile device, and that's why we are keeping this out of this component. Okay, so let's come here, let's take a dynamic block. We'll say open side menu. If it's true, then we have to render the sidebar component. We'll take a div, and in that we will have a class style dot sidebar, and in that we're going to render the sidebar component. Okay, and we have to set the couple of props. So in this we're going to pass the state. Okay, so we'll simply take the bracket, and that we're going to set this props. Okay, so we can easily able to have and change the state of this sidebar and close it. Okay, so initially it will be off. When someone will click this menu icon, the sidebar will open, but in the sidebar component we'll have a one cross button on which someone will click, it has to be closed. Okay, so that's the prop we have to send, so we can receive the props and we can make that happen. Okay, so that's the whole logic. So that's the props we are sending in the sidebar, and with this we are done. I think we are done with that, and now we have to create a couple of functions as well. Okay, so let's come here. And what's the function we have to create? We have to create this, let's open notification function, sorry, profile function. Let's come here and let's create that function. So we'll take a open profile, it will be an arrow functions, and we have to say if profile is false, then we have to set to true. Okay, and we have to make other component false, set false, discover false, and the notification false. Okay, this is the profile, else we have to set the set profile to false. So this is open, and we have to create this open sidebar as well. So let's come up here and come up here. So we'll call it const open sidebar. It will have an arrow function. We'll say if open sidebar menu is false, we have to turn it to true. Okay, else we have to turn it to false. So this is where we can easily able to call and open it. Okay, so with this we are done with this entire NavBar JSX and all import and export. So let's close this one. Let's close this component. Let's close this one as well. Close one, and close one. Close this one. Okay, not this one. And this is the left section. Okay, so here we have it. Okay, so make sure you should always organize your code and always give comment, so anybody can understand that what component they are working on, what are the, and we have given the revelim. And you have noticed one thing throughout this entire JSX part, I give relevant name to each of the components. So that's the approach you have to take, and that's become very easy to identify. Okay, so everybody has their own writing style, and this is what I follow. So let's come here and in the browser, and let's try to reload it. So you can see nothing is happening. So can you guess why this problem is there? Let's come back to the code editor, because we have missed something. Okay, everything is looking good on this side. Let's open this one, close this component file, and now we have to go into this page and click on this app.js. Here we have to import. So our navbar and footer is going to be in every single page in our entire application. Okay, so instead of importing those components individually in every single page, we're going to do global import, and that's global import we're going to do inside this app.js. Okay, so once we import this component and wrap the entire application with this navbar and footer, that component would be available in every single page. Okay, so that's the approach I'm taking here. So let's do this comment internal, I'll call it import, and we have to import the, let's say, navbar that's coming from the component navbar, and let's come here and we have to take a div. Inside that we're going to take this navbar component, close it, and we have to copy and simply paste here. So in this way we can easily able to access navbar in every single page or in our entire application. So we have this one. Let's come here. Okay, we are getting an error. So it says that type element expected a string, but it's getting something else. Okay, I'm not only teach you that how you can write and build a smart contract and build this NFT marketplace, but how you can debug the error in the project. So we having some problem in the navbar. Okay, so let's come reload the browser and let's try to see what's the problem. Because sometimes what happened that you get error and the error is committed previously, and because of you haven't reload the browser, you have the problem. So make sure you always reload the browser, and if you get the error more than 2 times, then you can come back to your code and try to find out what's the problem as per the suggestion you have got in the front end. Okay, so let's close this one and let's come back to the discover, and in that discover we have everything's okay. Let's see in the navbar help center we have this, no problem here. We have this notification, we have this profile. Okay, we have this sidebar, everything's looking good, no problem in these components. Let's come here, and these components are also looking good. Let's close this one, and what's the problem happening? So here we have in this, okay, the problem is here. So we are actually not exporting the component from our component folder. Okay, so here we have to export that, and now we have to export button, footer, and navbar. So I hope that you guys are getting familiar with this folder and file structure and import and export. Okay, so here we are exporting the component. Let's save it, close this one, and come back to our API app.js file, and this time we have to import that from the component index file. Okay, so let's remove this, say import, and we'll say navbar, and that's coming from the component index file, you can see, and make sure you should give in this bracket. Okay, so here if we click on this, and here you can see on the browser everything's working fine. We have this discover, help center, input, notification button, menu icons, and home. So all the component we can easily able to render on our application. So that's working fine, and I hope you guys are happy to see that how it's working. And you can see we can easily able to open and close. Okay, working fine. Now this is the navbar. and that's coming from the component API. And if you want to navigate to different pages, simply press Ctrl and click on that folder name as we have done just now, and you can able to open the component. Okay, here we are in this. So let's close this one, and we are done with this navbar.css. Okay, so let's close all this, and now we can start working on the NavBar component. Okay, so we are done with the NavBar JSX part. Now let's start working on the discover. So let's click on this, let's click on discover, and now we can start working on the discover menu. Okay, so let's import couple of things. So it will be internal import. We have to import the CSS file, import style from dot same directory, and we need to import couple of things. So we need to have a link, and that's coming from next link. Okay, so that's the internal external import we have. And let's come here, and here we have to take a demo data. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an array, and in that I will have the name of the page and the router. Okay, so it will make sense. Okay, so let's give me the comment. So I'll call discover navigation menu. Okay, so I'll take a variable and I call discover, and it will be an error, and inside this array I'll have an object of every single menu. Okay, so I'll take an object and I'll say name, I'll call it collection, and I will take the link, and it will have the same name but with lowercase. So make sure this is the convention I'm following, and you must follow the same convention because we're going to construct the URL of the pages on the name of this name we are providing. Okay, so let's create the all the menus. Okay, so simply copy this, paste the comma, and we have to change the name to, let's say, search page. We'll have this search, copy and paste, and we'll have this one author profile page, and we have this author profile, paste here, and this will become the NFT detail page, and this will call NFT details. Okay, come here, and this become the account setting, and this become account setting, comma, let's come down, and this will become, let's say, connect wallet. So we'll have a separate page for connecting wallet where we provide multiple options to the user to connect their wallet. Okay, and we'll say connect wallet, and we'll have another, so we can call it blog, and we'll have a blog. Okay, so this is the entire discover menu. Okay, so these are the menu we're going to display in our discover component. Okay, so now simply copy that, and let's come here, instantly return. We'll take a div, and inside that we're going to simply loop over the entire discover menu. So we'll say discover.map. Okay, element I, it's gonna be an arrow function. We have to instantly return this, and in this we're going to let the structure of our navigation. Okay, so I'll take a div, and it will have a class, key I+1, because every single menu will have a unique key. If you don't provide this, you will get an error from React. Okay, and we have to add a class as well. So I'll take a class, call it style.discover, and we want to take this link, and this link is coming from next link. You can take the normal link anchor tag, but here I'm taking this link tag which is available on that, and I'll take this href, and here I will provide the path, and the path is available we have inside this element. Okay, so we have this, we'll take this dynamic block and pass this lm.link, and that way we can easily able to access the link in the array object. And here it's not going to be the self closing link, we have to take this normal closing link. Let's say link, and let's provide this one, close this one, and in this we're going to pass the name of the link page. Okay, so we'll say lm.name. Okay, so if we save that, we can easily able to render the entire discover component on our application. Okay, so it's working fine. Now let's come back to the application. You can see here we have the logo, input, search, discover, help center, and help center is rendering twice. Okay, let's see why it's happening. We have notification button, image, and menu and home component. So what we can do, let's click on this help. Okay, so let's click on this discover, and you can see here we can easily able to open the discover component, and we can easily able to see all the pages we have created. Navigation, so collection, search, author details, accounts, connect wallet, and Google block. Open. If you click on this, you can open, close. So this function is also working. So all the pages are working fine. Okay, let's come back to code editor. So this is our discover component working fine. So that's the only thing we want to do here. I'm not going to style right now. We're going to let the foundation, and we're going to style the entire component in one go. Okay, we are just building the foundation and functionality. So let's close this one. Now we can start working on the help center, and same thing we have to do. We have to import the link from next links, and we have to do the internal import for our CSS file. So I'll go a little faster here because we are going to do the same thing. Okay, so it would be style, and that's coming from ./help center modules. Okay, we'll take this const help center, and we'll have this dynamic block, and that we're going to let the foundation. So it will have a name, about, and we have to provide the link about. We'll have another object, and this will call name is going to be contact us. This would be contact us. We'll have another, which one will be sign up. Then we have this sign in and sign in. Okay, now we'll come down. We'll have this, let's say, subscription, and we'll have this subscription. And this one is optional. Okay, if you want to create and provide certain extra features to the creators, NFT creators on your application, you can do, but I'm going to take this approach, and I will provide it a subscription option as well. Okay, so this is the component, this is the menu we're going to render. Okay, we have to do the same thing, close this one, and we're going to render that as well. So simply remove this one, take a div. It will have a class called side dot box, and inside that we're going to render our menu. So element I is gonna be instant return. We'll have a div, and we'll have a class, and we'll call it style dot help center, and in that we're going to take a link. It will have a href. We have to provide the path which is inside the help center menu. So we'll take this, and in that we're going to take the element dot link, and we have to render the name. Okay, if we save it, close this one, if we come back to our application, you can see right now we are opening the discover, but if we reload the browser, and you can see the states are to false, so that's why we can't see the components. But if we click on this discover, we can open it. If we click on the help center, we can able to see all the menu, so about, contact us, sign up, sign in, and subscription. So our dynamic component is also working. You can easily able to switch, open and close. Okay, let's come back to the code. Now come here, close this one, and now let's start working on the notification component. Okay, we have to import couple of things. So first one is going to be the image coming from next image. Now we have to do the internal import, and we have to import the CSS file which is inside the same folder, and we have to import the images itself, and that's coming from //. In the image folder we have. Okay, so this is the internal and this is the externals, and now we can start working on the actual JSX component of our navigation bar. Okay, notification, sorry. We'll take a div, and we'll have a class style dot notification. In that we will have another p tag, and it will say notification, the message, and it will have a div, and that will have a, let's say, class, and it will say notification dash box, and that we're going to take another div. It will have a class dot, let's say, notification box image, and that will have this image component. Will provide the source which is inside the images folder file, and we want to take the user1 images. Okay, so I have given the name user1, user2. So when we want to change the data, all we have to do is to change the number, and with that, changing that number, we can easily able to display different images. Okay, you will see how we are doing that dynamically. Okay, and this approach is also really good because we're going to give the same name to every single user who will create the profile and NFTs, and we're going to store their data, their profile details in their backend in the same format, so it become very easy to render the data. Okay, but that's the different topic for the backend developments. Let's work on the JSX and template. We'll take the alt and we'll call it profile image. We'll have to provide the width is going to 50 and height is going to be the 50, and so that's the notification we have. And in we'll have this class. Now let's come down. We have to take a div and we'll have a class and style dot notification box info. So in this we're going to show the information about the user. So first we'll take h4 and it will call it the name of the user. I'll call it Shweb, which is Shweb, and he's my younger brother, amazing guy, Akhtar. And I have to display the address of the user. So I'll call it measure. I'll provide this short message. Okay, and we're going to display the, instead of providing those address, we can provide the short message, short notifications. Okay, now let's come down. We have to take this time. Okay, and this time we'll keep update on the base of the notification period, so when they have got the notifications. So right now we are doing this hard code, but when we fetch the data from our API on the base of the entire functionality, this entire data will change dynamically for different user. Okay, we'll call it a go. So this is the component we have. Now we'll take another span, and this span will have a class and call it notification box new. And we're not going to add anything inside this span because this span is only for styling purpose. We want to show the display that blue mark, okay, blue tick, that this is a new notification. Okay, so this is one is for the styling purpose. Okay, so that's the notification component we have here. Right now we are displaying one component, but when we have the data we're going to render all the notifications. Okay, so that's what we have, notification. Now come here. So this is the discover component. If you click on this, we can open that discover component. If you click on this bell icon, you can able to see all the data, the image, the name, the message, the time. So this notification component is also working. Open close, working fine. Okay, so everything's working fine. Let's close this one. Let's come back and let's start working on the profile component. Okay, so we're going to import couple of things. So first one is going to be the image from Next.js. Now we have to import the, let's say, icons and US for user alt, and that's coming from React icons slash font awesome FA, short form for FA. And now we have to import the FA, let's say, rage image, and we have to say FA user edit. So these are the icons we want to import from font awesome, and that's coming from React. Now let's import other, and MD help center, and that's coming from React icons slash MD. We have to import one more, and this is coming from TD down load off, and that's coming from React icon slash TB, sorry. And one more we have to import, which is called TB download. Okay, so these are the icons we are using in this user profile component. Okay, now let's do the internal import. So we'll call it import style, and that's coming from the same directory slash profile modules. So I believe that you guys are getting familiar. Okay, so I'm going a little faster here. So we have to import the images. That's coming from dot slash dot and images. So we have the images here now. So these are the external import. I have to do one more. So import link. Okay, so these are the external import, internal import. Now let's come and start writing on the JSX part. Okay, so we'll take this instant return. We will have this div. It will have a class style dot, let's say, profile with small p, and we'll have another div. It will have a class style dot profile bar account, and that will have a image. We have to provide the source image user1 alt tag. Let's call it user and profile, and we have to provide the width is going to be 50 and height is going to be 50, and it will also have a on click function. Okay, so it will have a style also, so let's call it profile account image. Okay, we have to apply this style. Now let's come down, we have to take another div. It will have a class called dot profile dash account info. In that we have to take this p, it will call the name of the user, and here we're going to display the address. Okay, so right now I'm just doing this hard code. Okay, but we're going to change this data and not dynamically. Okay, the user account address and username. Now let's come out of that div. We'll have another div, it will have this style and profile menu, sorry, dash menu. Okay, and that will have another div, it will have a class called style dot profile menu one, and it will have a class, let's say style profile menu one dash item. Now we have to display the icon, so for our user alt, and we have to take this message, so it will have a link. In that we're going to provide this href, we have to provide the path, so let's say path name, so we want to redirect to the my profile page. Okay, and I'll call it my profile, save it. Okay, let's do this. Simply come here and simply copy this component, okay, this item component, and we're going to have 4 more. Okay, so simply replicate this one more time, and we have to change the icon. So first change this name to my item, change this icon, so we're going to call this fa user image. Okay, simply copy and replicate this one more time, and we have to change the icon, so it's fa user edit, and here we have to change this, let's say edit profile, and that's the 3 component. Now let's come down, let's come out that of div, and let's come out of that div, because we want to add a border, okay, between the first 3 menu and the last 2 menu. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. We'll take another div, and let's say style dot profile menu 2, and in that we'll have another div, it will have a class called style dot, let's say item. So make sure you give the same name, the name you have provided above, because it's going to apply the same styling. Okay, in that we're going to take this icon, so help center, and we have to display the paragraph message. Inside that paragraph we'll take this link, we'll provide the href attribute, so the path is going to be, let's say, where we want to redirect. So the page name is, we'll take this dynamic block, and we want to redirect to the help page. Okay, and in that we're going to say help. So this is our, now simply replicate this one, change the icon to td download, and here we will be disconnect. Okay, so in this way we will provide the user to log out from the MetaMask. Okay, and we have to change the path as well, we'll call it disconnect, and things are looking good. Here we have to change the name as well, edit profile, and this will become, say, my items, and that's pretty much, I think, what we have to do for this profile. Okay, so it's looking good. So here we have this one, and let's come here and reload the browser, and now we don't have any error. That means we are going on a good path. So let's click on this image, and here you can see we can easily able to render the entire data about the user, so name, address, icons, profiles, so all the data you can able to find. Okay, all the menu we can easily able to display here. So the functionality and the project is also working fine. We can open, close, let's come back, and with this we are done with this. Okay, if we find that we have to do any modification, we can definitely come back to the code. Okay, and that's the entire process of building any applications. So let's check this one more time, and working fine. Let's close this one, come here, and let's start working. Let's come here in the notification, we are done with that. close one. Let's start working on the sidebar. Okay, and this one is going to be a little bigger component. Okay, so let's start. And first thing we have to do is to import a couple of things from React. So first we need use state, and we have to import the images, and we have to import the, let's say, link from next link, and we have to import the icons. So cg close the cross icon, and that's coming from React /gr. Now we have to import the, let's say, social media icon. So we'll say ti social, let's call it Facebook. Okay, Facebook icon, and that's coming from React /icon ti. Okay, so we're going to display the social media icons, and that's what we are importing, and that's all icon we are finding from this ti. Okay, if you want to know about all these providers, you can simply visit React icons, and there you will have the complete documentation that how you can utilize this and what they are providing. Okay, so we're going to use simply, we're going to import the td social, and this one is going to be called LinkedIn. We need to import the let's say this one is going to be Twitter. Now td social, we're going to import YouTube, and the final one is going to be td social is going to be Instagram, and we want to add one more with td arrow short down. Okay, so these are the icon we are importing, and that's coming from ti, all the social media icons, and this arrow down, because we want to show that arrow up and arrow downs when they will open the side navigation. Okay, so that's the icon import. We have to import one more. So ti arrow shorted up. So we have up and down both the icons, so all the icons we have here. Okay, let's come down. Now we have to do the internal import as well. So we're going to say import style, and that's coming from the same file. We have to import the images, and that's coming from the images folder. We have to import the button component because we want to have button in the sidebar, so we'll have a button that's coming from the button and button itself. Okay, this time we are not importing from the context, a component context, we are importing for the button component itself. Okay, so that's all the imports we need in this sidebar. And let's come here, and now you will find that we have to display the same menu. So we have to display the discover menu, we have to display the help center menu. Okay, so those all things we're going to take here. Okay, so let me give this comment. I'll say use state, so we're going to take that couple of. So first we'll open discover, and it initially will be false. Then we have one more, we'll say open help, initially it will be false, and here we have to take that discover. Okay, so this discover will have the menu and the link, so it's gonna be an array, same thing what we have done in the discover component. Okay, so what we can do, we have this already available to us, so we can take that and we'll call it name. We'll provide the name, so we can call it collection, and we already have that. So let's come back to discover. Okay, discover component, and simply copy from here. Okay, simply select and copy the code, copy in that with comment, and we're going to paste here. Okay, why we should write same thing over and again. Paste here. Here we have all the data. Now simply close this one. Now we can have the discover menu, do the same thing for the help center, come back and simply copy this and come here and simply paste here. And this way we can have the navigation menus. And let me give this comment, this will call help center. Okay, so we have this too, we're working fine. Now let's start working on the JSX part. We'll take a div, it will have a class called style dot sidebar. In that we'll have our icon, so we'll have this cross icon, so we'll call it style dot sidebar dash close btn, and it will have an on click function. So we're going to simply take this arrow function, and we're going to call this function close b. Let's close sidebar. Okay, so close sidebar. So this is the function we have to create. Okay, and let's come down. We're going to take another div. It will have a style dot let's call it sidebar dash box. In that, we're going to take this image and we have to display the logo. So we have to take the src image dot logo. We have to provide the alt text logo with 150 and height is 150. Okay, little bigger than normal. Okay, so this is the logo. Let's come down. We have to display this message. So we'll take a discover the most outstanding articles on all the topics of, let's say, NFT on story. Okay, and share them. I just gave this random random text. You can type anything as per your NFT marketplace, or you can give your name. Okay, so I've given this random text. So let's start working on it. So we'll come down, we'll take another div, and I will take a class. It will say like sidebar dash social. So in this, we're going to display all the social media icons. Okay, so we're going to take this anchor. Initially, we don't want to redirect because we don't have any social media account for this NFT marketplace, so we're not redirecting that. And in that, we're going to display the icon component. Okay, so first we're going to have Facebook. Second, we're going to display the, let's say, social media LinkedIn, and third is going to be our, let's say social Twitter. Okay, we'll take this, and that we're going to display this. Now the icon we have to display is the YouTube, and last icon we have to display is the, let's say, what left we have left this Instagram. Okay, so these are the 5 social media icons we are displaying. Now let's come down. We'll take a div. It will have a class, let's say style dot sidebar and menu. Okay, and this we're going to have another div. It will have a, so in this div we're going to take another div, and inside that div we're going to take another div. It will have a class called sidebar menu dash box. Okay, in that, let's say we'll have this on click functions. Okay, and we'll have this function called open discover menu. Okay, so this is the function we have to create, and this will open the discover menu component. So we'll have this p, we'll call it discover, and here we have to display the arrow down short button. Okay, I hope everything's making sense. If someone will click on this, we have to display that discover component. Okay, so let's come here. We'll come down, we'll take a dynamic block. If we say if open discovered, then we want to render this component. We'll say take a div, and let's close this one, and we'll have a class style dot, let's say sidebar dash discover, and it will have this discover dot map lmi instantly return. We have to take a let's say paragraph, and this will have a key +1, and in that we're going to display this link and href. We have to provide the path, and this link, the data we have inside this. So we'll go to lm.link, and here we have to give the name of that menu. Okay, which is dot name. Okay, so in this way we can easily able to render the sidebar component. Okay, so now let's do the same for other component. We'll take a div, and inside the div we'll have another div. It will have a class called dot sidebar menu box, and it will have on click functions. We have to call this function. So we'll say open help menu, and same thing we have to do. We have to take a p tag, and here we have to type the test help center. We have to take the icon, so td and arrow up down, sorry, and here we have the same component. Okay, now let's come down, and we have to simply render the help center component menu. So we'll take this open help. Okay, now we will take this div, and it will have a class let's say style dot sidebar discover, and I have applied the same name to this help center component as well, because we're going to style the same, we're going to use the same styling for this component as well. Okay, so in this we're going to render this data. So lmi we have to instantly return. In this we'll have this paragraph, it will have a click function, and it will have this link. We have to take this href attribute, so it will say path, and we have to take this lm.link, and we have to give the link name of this link. Okay, name. So this is our sidebar menu. Okay, working fine with this dynamic menu. Now let's come down. Will take another div, and it will have a style, so we'll call it side, let's say button. Okay, we'll have two buttons, one for connecting wallet and one for creating NFT. Okay, so we already have this button component, so that's what we're going to import, and in this we're going to pass the button name. Okay, so this will call, let's say create, and we'll replicate it, and we're going to change this to connect wallet. Okay, so these are the two props we are sending in the dynamic button component. So let's come here, let's up here. So everything's working fine, and here we have it. Now we have to create the functions which we have created. So let's come here, and let's come here. Here we're going to receive the props. So as you remember, we have sent the prop in our sidebar component in our index navbar.jsx. Okay, so that's what we're going to receive here. So set open sidebar menu. Okay, and this props we are receiving from here in the navbar.js, and here we are sending that props. Okay, so that's what we are receiving. So in this way we can easily able to change the state from our sidebar component in our navbar. Okay, so here we have that. Copy and simply come and paste here. Okay, so this is the state we have received the props, and now let's close this one. Come here, we'll create the function. So let's come down. The first function is going to be this discover menu. Okay, we'll call it open discover menu, add a function, and if open discover, then we have to set open discover to true, else we have to turn it to false. Okay, this is the first discover menu, and now let's come down, let's create the other function. So the second one, we have this open help. Okay, so open help menu, and same check we have to do. Okay, if open help, then set to true, otherwise set to false. Set to false. Okay, so this is how we are changing the state. Now let's come down, we have to take another one, close sidebar. So we'll have this cross button. Okay, and that we going to simply copy. So this is the cross icon, we have a click function on that. This will close the sidebar. Okay, and in this we're going to call this props. So the props we are receiving in our sidebar, that's what we're going to call here. So set open sidebar menu, and we'll turn it to false. Okay, so that's prop here we're receiving. Okay, that's from here. Okay, so finally we are done with the sidebar. So let's have a final look, and things are looking good. This is the React internal import, our functions, use states, and here we have the functions, and here we have the JSX. So close this one, let's close this one, and let's come here and let's try to reload the browser, and just wait, and everything's working fine. We don't have any error. So let's come here, let's click on this menu, and as you can see, it's working fine. We have this cross button, we have the image, we have the description, we have the social media icons. If we click on this close, we can easily able to close it. Okay, beautiful, it's working fine. If we click on this, we can open and close. So all the functions working fine. Close this one, click on this notification, image, menu, let's discover, and we have this help center. So working, everything's really good. all the functionality, everything is working fine. And you will find that how easy it's become, because generally what we have done, we have built the complete layout, all the functionality. So when we get the data from our API, all we have to do is to replace those places where we are rendering the data to the actual data, and the entire thing will happen. So when we'll combine the smart contract and the backend, on that time the things will happen very fast, because we have followed the right structure for this project. Okay, now what we can do, let's come here and let's close all these files. Close this one, close this. So this is our NavBar main folder, and let's come here and let's see. So everything is working fine. Let's come here and now we can start styling our navigation bar. Okay, so finally we have completed the entire J6 part, folder and file structure for our navigation. In the next video we're going to start styling those components. Okay, I know this video is getting very huge, so that's why I try to divide this video, this navigation tutorial, in two parts, one for the J6 and the other one is for the styling portion. If you complete this, then move to the next one and you will start styling the component.